You're welcome.
The massacre in Orlando causing Donald Trump to double down on his proposed immigration ban, vowing to block immigrants from areas with a history of terrorism from entering the United States. Now, some are outraged over that proposal, but there's a new opinion piece in the Washington Post that takes a look at the support for it. The title, "What if Donald Trump is exactly what people want?" after the Orlando shooting. Chris Cillizza writes, quote, "Trump hasn't done much that made conventional political sense in this campaign, and politically speaking, he's been right more times than he's been wrong." Matthew Continetti, editor of the Washington Free Beacon, joins us with a look at that. Annie Linsky, also with us, national political reporter for the Boston Globe. And, you know, the tone of the piece overall is not that Trump was right. In fact, Cillizza had written an earlier piece suggesting that Trump was going to lose favor for, you know, some of his strong pronouncements. But he said he was getting calls from even Democratic pollsters who said Trump may be onto something. Matthew, could he be?
Well, I think if you frame the election as an issue between gun control and immigration restriction, then that's very favorable issue terrain for Donald Trump. So I agree with Chris on that. What Donald Trump has to wonder about is whether his message on issues like Second Amendment rights and Muslim immigration to the United States is going to be kind of drowned out by some of his other controversial comments he's made over the past week. So,
Annie, has Trump hurt himself or helped himself, politically speaking, with this renewed call for the ban on immigration from troubled areas?
Well, I think we only have to just look back to the terrorist attacks in Paris to get some sense of how that might, how his comments might play out. And, you know, as we all remember, Trump's candidacy at that point seemed to be losing steam, and he came out with his Muslim ban, and he just sort of shot up in popularity. And, you know, this made me think back really to George W. Bush's statements right after the September 11th, when he went to, you know, this notion that people want to hear a really strong response to a terrorist attack. And I think that is how this slaughter of 49 people is being viewed. And so I think you look back to what George W. Bush said, and it was really a call for war. It was a very strong statement, and people did want to hear that. And I think that, you know, it's so interesting how you report that Obama is going to come out with another statement within the hour, and I think that perhaps we're going to hear something from him that is a little bit more hawkish, since that does seem to be fitting the mood.
Trump has done a couple of things of late. He has severely criticized the commander-in-chief, and he has also tied Hillary Clinton to Mr. Obama and suggested that her potential election would be a third Obama term. Here's what he had to say yesterday morning on Fox regarding the president.
We're led by a man that either is not tough, not smart, or he's got something else in mind. And the something else in mind, you know, people can't believe it. People cannot they cannot believe that President Obama is acting the way he acts and can't even mention the words radical Islamic terrorism. There's something going on. It's inconceivable.
So when voters hear that, Chris, what are they saying?
Well, I think if this is a continuity versus change election, Hillary's the candidate of continuity, Donald is the candidate of change. The question is, are Americans ready to take that risk and risk the change that might come if they elect Donald Trump president? And even though I got your name wrong, thanks for answering the question. Annie, go ahead.
I think those statements were particularly confusing for Mr. Trump, and so I think if this is a facts versus sort of conspiracy theory election, then those are the two choices. I mean, Clinton's response is, whether you like it or not, rooted in the facts on the ground. And I'm not sure where Trump is going with those insinuations. I mean, I genuinely don't know. Whoever he's speaking to there, it's an innuendo and a sort of lack of facts for all I can come to. It's just very confusing to try to understand what he's trying to insinuate.
All right. Annie Linsky from the Boston Globe, Matthew Continetti from the Free Beacon. Thank you both.